I'm about to feed him to the sharks right now. Get him hype right now. Yeah. You know the ground is up. Yeah. Everybody that trains, you know the game. Yeah. So let's get it. Slap it up, bump it, and roll. Hey. Yeah, that's the way that it goes. Ain't no better way to better yourself in this game. You're feeling the growth. That's time on the mat. We put in the work. Believe it ain't easy, I know. But we train for the love of the game, the love of the art. Now slap it up, bump it, let's roll.
Welcome to episode 100 of the BJJ Campaign Podcast. My name's Jeff Boone. I'm an A3 blue belt, 4 stripes.
Phil Kors, A2, blue belt, 4 stripes.
Patrick Devins, I'm an A3, blue belt, no stripes.
Derek Coffrin, A4, blue belt, 2 stripes.
Delvin Williams, A4, blue belt, 4 stripes.
Brian Reedy, A3, blue belt, no stripes.
Yes, we got through it. Good. Okay.
We did it.
That's episode 100, folks. There we go.
In the books. It's in the books.
You didn't clap.
Let's start off. We're not going to start off with our normal Gordon Ryan update, although we are going to do it. Let's just talk about everyone that's in here. These are all Phil and I's training partners. Maybe some of them are our favorite, maybe some of our least favorite. We don't know.
You're welcome.
So I want to go around the horn and just have everyone introduce themselves. And whenever you do, tell what got you into jiu-jitsu. Patrick.
Well, thank you, sir. I started doing jiu-jitsu about 1.5 years, almost 2 years ago. My nephew always talked about it, and I was hitting sort of like the max weight I've ever been in my life. So about to, pack on a nice 250, and I thought, well, the reason why I'm here is because exercise is really boring. I can't stand the same repetitive thing over and over again. And my nephew always talked up jiu-jitsu, that it was like chess, but chess that, you're required to defend yourself and grapple with another person, which is really fun. Like this?
Just closer.
Okay. Yeah. And so I just walked in and tried it out. And I loved it. And Charlie choked me. Mm-hmm. And that was that.
Does that to a lot of people.
Yeah, that was just it for me.
So did you just walk in by happenstance, like to fight to win?
It was literally the closest BJJ place to my house. It was 7 minutes away.
That's awesome.
And it was like such a stroke of luck because John and, the whole lineage and Steve and everybody. And it was just like such a stroke of luck.
Yeah, for sure. No, that's good. That's good. Derek?
I started about 3 years ago. Well, actually, July will be 3 years. And I started solely because of Jeff. So
that's right, kids. My success story. One of my success stories. Maybe the only one. No, not really.
I guess it was. I've known you for probably 15 years, maybe.
Yeah,
somewhere around there. And you had invited me to an open, or maybe a tournament at the Cabarrus Arena.
That's right. It was Naga back. That was 2017 or 18.
I think it was 17.
Yeah.
And
Delvin was there.
Yeah, so you invited me there, and I saw you, and it was pretty obvious there was a complete change from the old partying like Boone that I knew. Not only like weight wise, but just everything.
Yeah.
So just complete difference of character. And so I was like, "What are you doing?" And that's when you said, "I'm doing jiu-jitsu."
Yeah.
That's why you're here. And I was like, "Here's Mark."
And so he started going to Mark Kukro's school, and then his wife and 2 daughters started doing jiu-jitsu as well, and now his wife is a blue belt as well.
There are no normal hugs in my household anymore.
Underhooks all the time.
Everybody is fighting for underhooks.
It's like stepbrothers.
My oldest daughter almost choked me on the pool last year. I told her, we had to have a sit-down conversation after that. I was like, honey, I'm not going to tap to you. So if you can't carry me out of this pool, I know you don't want the weight of your dead dad on your shoulders. So, but her arms are so skinny, and she got a good, perfect, rear naked. And
gotta get rid of that ego, Derek.
Yeah, I do need so that's been, it's probably been more now. It's probably been 3.5 years, I guess.
Yeah.
It's been a while.
Yeah, that's right.
So I've been training over at Mark's school since then, and I travel a bunch. I go, like, when you guys were doing the Sunday rolls and stuff, the open mats at least. Yeah. But then also other gyms, I'll go to Checkmat, and I'll go to just other places to see what they're doing just on a whim, because it's such an open community. Everybody's like, come on in.
Yeah.
Let's check you.
No doubt. Brian.
Yeah, I started training. It's coming up on 2 years, June 3rd, and I love this. So shout out to my buddy Shane Qualls. He was a guy that I used to travel with a little bit, and
Nobody listens to this podcast, Brian. He's not going to hear that.
Yeah, I'm just going to tell him where it is so he can find it, just so he knows he got a shout out. But it was funny because we were going to fights together, and we both kind of had been talking about starting to train jujitsu, and so he went back home to Amarillo and started, and sent me a text, and I got started, and I didn't start, and then 2 weeks later in the mail, I got a gi, that he had sent me. So I took that and said, what a great sign to get started. And I immediately put it in my closet and did not start. And then about 2 months later, he sent me a pic of his first stripe. And he said, don't let me get too far out ahead of you. And literally 2 days later, I walked in to Fight to Win in Charlotte on a Saturday for an open mat. And Marty looked up at me and handed me the paperwork and sent me off and said, come back Monday, and then proceeded to take bets as to whether or not I would or would not come back. So, and been there ever since.
So you went back that Monday. That's a good friend right there, man, to keep on you like that.
Oh man. I mean, he's, you're absolutely right. I got him to thank for sure.
Yeah, that's good. Delvin.
Man, which one you want? I got two.
Go. I want both of them.
All right. So, yeah, I was challenged by a buddy of mine, my last assignment in the Air Force. We were kind of doing like some very unofficial mixed martial arts, jujitsu. And he's like, dude, when you get back to the States, you got to do jujitsu. And I was 37 then, and I was trying to look for any excuse not to do it because I was like, oh, yeah, I don't want to do this. It looks rough. I don't want to do it. And basically, I made the decision because I had done Taekwondo for years, had stopped doing it. And when I moved to Texas, I was pulling out some stuff and just realized that I was doing myself a disservice by not being a student somewhere. And so the next day I went and did a walk-in. Jason Casillas, he's a black belt, but he's a good buddy of mine who was a advanced purple belt at the time, walked into his school and started from him, and all he ever did was talk jujitsu. And I'm like, good God, he's 8-0. I'll never be like that. And now I'm on a podcast.
All lies.
all lies, completely. On a podcast talking about it.
So how long after that 37, so how many years did you wait, or was it not years?
No, it wasn't years. It was just a matter of months. Like It went from, by the time I got to Texas, it was start of 2015. Mm-hmm. Holy crap. Yeah, started 2015, and then in February 2015, I started jiu-jitsu.
Yeah.
So it's been like a little bit over 6 years total time.
Wow. Then
I came here to Fight to Win September of 17. And remember walking in, and Jason, at the time, he was like an advanced purple belt or just put on brown belt, coming to Fight to Win Charlotte the first day, and there's like 8 purple belts lined up against the wall, and I'm like, what did I get myself into? Like, and yeah, that was, and since then it's been, I don't know, it's been crazy. Like, I never would have thought jiu-jitsu would have had the impact on my life that it did. Mm-hmm. And then when, you start setting just certain personal goals for yourself, and then you start seeing new people come in and setting goals, and you want to help them out with that. And it definitely becomes just a whole family type thing. Mm-hmm. That's what it's become. It's crazy. It's good.
On your Taekwondo, did you find that having done previous martial arts helped you learn in jiu-jitsu?
I'd say yes, at least in that you expect a certain amount of aggression. Like, the one thing I loved about Taekwondo is that, like, I was in a work environment where, like, people didn't appreciate my effort. It was annoying. It was frustrating. And then when I went into Taekwondo and I kicked and I punched and I shouted, it was rewarded. Mm-hmm. And because I was in there busting my tail and I was like working hard. And same thing in jiu-jitsu. You come in there and you bust your ass every time, you work hard and you're humble and you listen, then results come. Like, guaranteed every time. And that's what I learned. And that's one of the most rewarding things about it, where you look back and it's crazy that I've been at Fight to Win closing on 4 years now. Mm-hmm. And it's like, yeah, the guy who came in there, like I wipe the floor with that dude now.
Sure, of course.
And which is crazy, because, like, you you're within your own skin. You have to do that for like, every day, of course. But you start measuring that time by 6 months at a time and looking back, and yeah, you just get better as long as you put in the work. That's the important thing.
Agreed. And now, on to the Gordon Ryan update. Phil, what is the Gordon Ryan update?
He quit again.
Why did he quit?
Didn't feel good.
Is he redoing his tips?
Maybe.
He could be getting his tips frosted again.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, he doesn't feel good. No, they can't hear you.
Yeah, they
because the
can't hear you.
microphone's all the way
His
down.
tummy, right?
Yeah. It's his tummy. He's he can't digest food. So
Think it's the steroids?
It's too much knee on belly.
No. I don't know, man. I have no idea. But I tried to hook him up with Rhonda Patrick. I wrote in
I saw that.
on his comments because she could get him straight. I would like to see that. I'd like to see Gordon Ryan that has no issues with peristalsis.
Yeah, anytime you have to get over a staph infection, and the antibiotics they have to put you on to get over the staph
That's what it was
infection,
from. That's right.
they're just massive.
Yeah.
I mean, they really take you out. Big
It took out his whole gut biome.
Oh, yeah,
Is
yeah.
what- and made him have this.
Well, he said it happened like 3 times within like a really short amount of time.
Yeah.
So he's fucked.
Yeah, maybe. But, if anybody can get him straight, Rhonda Patrick can. And, side note, Craig Jones took over for him in this upcoming, it's next week.
So who is your favorite grappler now?
Gordon Ryan.
He's retired.
He's not retired.
He's retired.
No, he's not. He's still teaching.
As a matter of fact, he said he didn't want to teach because of his stomach.
No, he didn't, Derek.
He specifically said that.
No, he didn't.
Said he's never teaching Jeff Boone again.
Listen, it's 37% off on BJJ Fanatics this week.
He
All
said
right?
no more DVD box sets.
We got all of them. But yeah, that was a bummer of an update. Craig Jones is going to take his place with Luis Panza. I don't even know who the guy
That's
is.
his name. I don't know who he is.
Yeah.
It sucks though because he was just on Joe Rogan talking about how he's going to try to just set his legacy as like unbeatable, and he's 25 or whatever on track to do that and get derailed with this shit, which isn't even like not even like a legit. No, he broke his arm and it was never the same. It sucks.
How many viable opponents does he have, though?
None.
Like when I first heard him taking a sabbatical, or whatever you want to call it, like a leave, I was like, oh, he's just tired of not having anybody qualified to challenge him.
Yeah.
And then it was like, oh, it's his gut. So I'm like, oh, okay, whatever. But that was my first thought, and I was like, oh, he's tired of not having any challenges.
Maybe, but I think he challenges himself in different ways of trying to get all the submissions. I don't know if he's going to. I mean, I can't imagine him missing ADCC this year.
I mean, your stomach's going to do what it's going to do, Jeff.
I
You
know,
what I'm
man.
saying?
That's such a bummer.
Yeah, I mean, that's like second brain. You kind of need it. So it's tough.
I think his point is though, like, because he said he's missing training. Like, if he's not comfortable that he's going to go out and dominate the way that he has, that he's like, I wouldn't risk losing like that if I was him either.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, you can't
agree.
train, you go in.
Taint the legacy. Yeah.
Not worth it.
I agree. Okay, on from that. All right, folks.
He's not ready to talk about it yet.
Yeah,
We'll
no,
touch on it in a couple
little
more
bit.
weeks.
Yeah.
It's just still raw. It's still it's a tender spot.
It is. It's like a scab. Just keep picking it off. So let's go on to the next topic, which is Jiu-Jitsu nicknames. Brian, what's your favorite Jiu-Jitsu nickname? I know what you're going to say.
I know which one you're going to say.
I mean, there's 2 of them that sit right at the top. There's 2 of them that sit right at the top of your list. I mean, number one, and this is like tied for number 1. Popcorn has got to be one of the best all time for the little popcorn shrimps.
And then, what else Delvin said after that.
And if you guys could have, this is one where I wish everyone could be there for it. Because when Delvin said with a totally straight face, heat him up and he explodes, it was like, boom. It was magic for Jay. I mean, he could then own the name because it had something else with it. Delvin,
He didn't like it at first.
No.
He didn't like it at first.
Did he not?
No.
Because the baby shrimps?
Yeah, he didn't like it. He's like, people call him popcorn, and he was kind of.
People don't even know his real name now.
Well, what's funny is he came to Denver one night, and I had never met him or rolled with him. And I was like, oh, because somebody called him Popcorn. I was like, oh, yeah, Jeff, like, I heard about you. Jeff told me about you or something like that. And then we rolled, and I was like, did he take what I said the wrong way? Like, he was really getting after it.
He's what they would say a rambunctious white belt.
Yeah.
That's how I would
was just like,
classify him.
man, I don't know if he's pissed or...
No, he's mad at himself.
So.
But it's a good thing if you meet someone and you don't know them by their real name, you just know them by their nickname.
Well, somebody
it's
else...
like, yeah, I'm Jason. It's like, who's like Popcorn? Oh, Popcorn! Yes.
Well, that's what I talked to him before class. I was like, oh, hey, what's up? And then Joey walked by and was like, what's up, Popcorn? I was like, oh, I do know you.
That's great. That's great. And then the other one?
It's such a good steak sauce. I mean, when Brennan walked in with the A1 gi and steak sauce landed because he wears the A1 gi like that thing. That was perfect.
Who gave that one?
Well, I think it was Landon. I think that was Landon, but Landon wanted to be the one that assigned it, so he kind of whispered it in a few of our ears, and so the rest of us just kind of picked it up and ran with it.
He sent
That's
Boone out there.
classy.
Oh, that's
classy
I like
of Landon.
it. I dig it.
That's very classy of him. So yeah, steak sauce. That's.
Why is A1 funny?
A1 because he's an A1 gi. His nickname's steak sauce.
Is it like, does it not fit him?
A1 is a type of steak.
Yeah, I get that. Why is that funny?
Well, because I mean that's what I'm wondering too. Because there's a lot of A1s. I'm sure there's a lot of A1s. No. Listen. Hold on. Every week I do this because Phil talks and I'm like, yeah, that makes complete sense to me. And then it's Booney Tunes trying to describe some technique, and it's like guess the technique by what Jeff says, and that doesn't make any sense.
It's impossible.
Like, I understand A1 is
but I feel the same way.
Fit.
No, A1 like
Stop trolling, Phil. I know you're trolling.
You have to spell out in ones and zeros. Him and Lex Friedman are computers.
But what if another guy with an A1 gi comes in? Is he also steak sauce?
There be anyone else with
can
an
only be
A1
one steak
gi.
sauce.
There's like 3 kids in Denver.
That's kids. We're not going to call them steak sauce.
Well, see, I thought like it didn't fit or something.
There's
and then
one
that
kid I'd call
reminded
him
me-
steak sauce.
Like Brian asked me at one point to try one of the Origin gis, the soft one. I forget the name of it. And he's like, yeah, can I try yours on? And I'm like, yeah, I'm an A2. And he's like, so am I. And I was like, you're like 6'3". Like,
We can dream, Phil.
like you can, by all means, you're welcome to like Chris Farley, like Fat Man.
Big man, little coat.
I thought you were gonna say it didn't fit.
Fat guy, a little code.
All right, Derek, your favorite.
I got to go with Popcorn was the one that stood out the most, and it was just intriguing how that could be a jiu-jitsu nickname.
It's the best.
Was Popcorn. But also, when I read the Liquid Terminator one, like that brought back like visceral like moments of rolling with that person where they're just sweating all over you, and it's like. It's not so much the like face that bothers me. It's really when the sweat goes in your ear.
That's terrible.
That is the worst thing.
Because you're sitting there rolling your ear over.
I'll literally do whatever I
can.
can do to switch to the other hip so that the like try to
Half
drip
guard,
those.
that's my comment. Go to half guard.
You've never shrimped so hard in your life.
Never shrimp so hard to get sweat out of your ear.
Yeah.
It is just the eye doesn't bother me, the mouth doesn't bother. It's like whatever, but the ear,
What about the nose? You ever get it right in your nostrils?
yeah, it doesn't bother me. It's,
Really?
It
The
doesn't
ear's the
bother me
worst.
either.
I don't know why.
In the
Big
nose, I feel like I'm being waterboarded.
Even in the mouth. I hate to say it, but even whenever I get sweat in the mouth, it's fine.
When you
Whatever.
breathe in pool water.
yeah.
One of my main training partners right now is a sweater. Big Phil.
Oh yeah, Big Phil is a
When
sweater.
he has, I mean, he's got the rock star hair going on right now too. And
Oh,
so
yeah,
like,
that's
and
right.
anytime like, oh yeah, pull him in guard. He's been sweating for a while, and then every now I'll sitting there looking up and like just one will come like hit me on the lip, like, oh, just son of a. I'm used to it now, but oh.
All right, Delvin.
Do I have to pick from the list?
No, you don't. You can use your own if you want.
The first one I thought of was like one of the first people I rolled with and he used to choke me out all the time. Big, tall dude, and he was like sneaky with it. And his name was Blake, and his nickname was Blake the Snake.
Ah, yes, that's a good one.
So like that I remember that one, like probably the best one, but like then there were some good ones here. I don't want to spoil it for anybody.
There were some good ones here.
Someone has the nickname of Dipstick. They should not have that nickname.
That's a bad story.
That could not be a good story.
You know, apparently this guy's favorite technique is the oil check, and every time he does it, he says a quart low. You know, so that's
That is not a technique.
not one of our training partners. Thank goodness.
That is not a technique.
It's
it's a technique.
Facebook thread.
It's a real technique.
Not for jujitsu.
Oh no, not for jujitsu. No, not for jujitsu. But it is a technique.
It is. You're right. Touche. All right, Patrick.
Tushy.
Yeah.
This is bad. I'll see myself out.
Favorite?
I'm gonna go with two that I identify with 100%. Liquid Terminator, because my secret superpower is that I sweat a lot.
You do.
Immediately. The only person I don't feel bad about sweating on is Phil, and that's because he burns like the surface of the sun whenever you roll with him, so it like gets even hotter, and so I think my sweat evaporates as soon as it hits him. And bottom side control, I identify with that a lot.
That's a good one.
Mostly because I think I really truly fell in love with jujitsu. I really like jujitsu. We were like going steady for a while, but I really fell in love with jujitsu when Delvin used to just get me in bottom side control and just hold me there and be like, "What are you doing?" Like, I'm a one stripe white belt, don't have no idea what I'm doing. And he's like, "What are you even doing?" Like, completely demeaning me. And so I really identify with it. So I like it a lot.
That case of Katami.
Yeah.
And just like taking the soul out of you.
Yeah. It's terrible.
What were you doing?
Nothing. I thought I was doing some really good bridging and shrimping, but again, one stripe white belt. It looked more like
It's a good philosophical question though. If you were really doing good bridging and shrimping, but you weren't getting anywhere, were you really doing good bridging?
It was, and honestly, it was after that that I like legit started bridging and shrimping in my living room while I watched TV or did anything. If I was doing nothing, I was on the floor bridging and shrimping, just because like there was no fucking way I was going to get caught like that again.
I feel like there's something I've done here.
Well, yeah, you abuse all the white belts in your side control, Delvin. You know that.
Yeah. I mean, no, man, no.
How heavy are you, by the way?
240?
Yeah.
6'4",
Fun.
6'3".
6'3".
I was 240 also when you were holding me in bottom side. but yeah, I'm a tall 5'8".
Phil, which one stuck out for you?
Yours, like the Tim Duncan nickname that people give you because you're just the big fundamental. You're always into the fundamentals.
Tripling down.
Yeah.
This is not my nickname, ladies and gentlemen, but I appreciate it.
We were talking, you're like, does Boone have a nickname? I was like, no, he doesn't.
I do appreciate that.
Your nicknamer, but you don't have one yourself.
Yeah. Well, I've been called Iceman because I like the ice baths, but that's just more of a joke. It's not a real nickname.
Yeah, no, that's too cool.
No, it's
There's no
way
way.
too cool. It's gotta be. One of my favorites, and I just thought this was hilarious, and maybe it's just because I watch Cartoon Network all the time and Adult Swim, but this one guy's nickname was Meg from Family Guy.
Took too long time.
This dude on tiny belt, and everybody like, "Come on, Meg." I don't know why that one stood out to me, but it was funny. That and Sub-Zero. You know, because Sub-Zero
That's
is
funny.
a really cool nickname,
That's
right? You know, and he's got a
funny.
great killer move in Mortal Kombat, but it's not at all because of that. It's because he has zero submissions.
Yeah, the descriptor made it that much better. It was a cool Mortal Kombat character, comma, but is really because he has zero submissions.
Yes, ladies and gentlemen, I took notes and passed them out to everyone before this. It's a professional outfit we got here, all right?
This is the most organized anything I've ever done in my life.
Episode 100, we got a lot to live up to, all right?
Mm-hmm. When I got the email, the 6-page email telling me what the dress code was, I figured this was going to be a professional.
I also I don't know why it just cracks me up, but Big Bacon, because and by the way, these are all nicknames from.
See, I missed that one. That's funny too.
It's great. I posted this on a group message board. I can't remember which one it was for Jiu-Jitsu, and asked for everybody's Jiu-Jitsu nickname. And this guy says my nickname's Big Bacon because I'm a husky cop. I was like, a husky cop. That's just funny. Death Pixie. Let's see.
Why Death Pixie?
It's probably a girl.
It is, yeah. It's actually, Michaela Presley. She's like a 4-stripe blue belt for the last 5 years. Out west. She's actually a moderator on Blue Belt Mafia.
Nice.
Yeah. And Girl Pants. Girl Pants was another one. For anybody who has seen my phone and a text between me and Derek, his name in my phone is Derek Girl Pants because he once came.
It was a theme party.
Uh-huh.
And I'll have you know those are the manliest pants from the 70s you could possibly find.
Manliest woman pants. You know how you can tell that female's pants is buttoned on the other side? That's what he said. I was like, those are women's pants.
I wish I could still fit into those pants.
Those were good looking pants. They were really good. Girl, they really hugged your hips well. Sticky Legs Gumby. I'll post these up on the Facebook page so you guys can take a look at all of them. I think it's pretty funny.
Gumby's a good visual too. Everybody's rolled that.
Oh yeah,
Everybody's
for sure.
rolled that Gumby where you're just like, the Americana doesn't work.
Yeah. Yes. Yes, for sure. Moving on. How to maximize a private lesson. Thoughts, Brian?
Have you done any private lessons?
I love that you came to me first because in my notes, to your notes, I was like, private lessons, skip me, no clue.
Skip you, no clue. All right, we can do that.
I can provide no real value in this conversation. I promise you that.
I mean, you haven't been much value yet, so we'll see.
I'm living up to my reputation.
Just kidding. Have you done a private class?
Early on, haven't in a long time. And I'm sure that as soon as I come off of this, I'm going to have 11 texts from Phil about why I need to start private lessons, which I will appreciate.
Yeah.
Who among the panel here has done some private lessons, and how have you gotten benefit out of them? Long-term benefit.
I've done a couple.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I still remember the two. One was with Steve and one was with Ryan Leggett. And with Steve, I still remember like the main point of what he said, and I've taken that and gone forward with it. So like if anyone's like mad at my side control, blame Steve. He's the one, because it gave me a direction to go towards. Because at the time, I think I was relatively new blue belt and was kind of like, where do I go? And Delvin smash is what he said. So yeah, and that's how you apply it. So you can sometimes you come in with a focus, and I think Steve already had something on his head of where he wanted me to go.
That's fantastic.
On that day. But I mean, I think the best way is just going there with actually both times with Leggett. Leggett came in with a series, Eddie Bravo series that he was doing from guard that I did not incorporate into my game, but it was really, really good technique. And I would love to go through that same private and do the exact same thing again because I probably have a better understanding of it. What?
Ryan Leggett did a Eddie Bravo series with you?
I'm pretty sure, yeah.
I love it.
I have a lot of questions.
I have a lot of questions about that too.
Yeah, started coming back from quarantine.
All right.
Now, by the way, like since I know like next to nothing about like anything World of Jiu-Jitsu, I could have fucked that name up. That's possible, but I don't think I did.
From half guard or close guard?
Close.
Oh, we have questions for Ryan.
Yeah, we got questions
just
for
checking.
Ryan. That thank you for that, Dylan.
Uh-oh.
We got a lot.
This is not you.
If I know,
This is not you.
No.
Yeah, no. If I get
These are
something,
Ryan
but
questions.
if this comes back to me and then Leggy comes back to me, he's like, we have to talk.
Oh, he won't.
He won't. No, he's not going to talk.
We have to roll.
no.
Right, exactly. They're like, Big Bacon's coming at me.
Now it's really over.
Yeah,
Now it's really
he is
over.
a husky cop.
I've done quite a few private lessons. So, but it was because the differences in our in our gyms is we actually test for blue belt, and so there was a series of 88 moves that we had to know, and we were only allowed to miss, I think it was 5, out of those 88. And we had a time limit and all these other things. So I was extremely nervous about having to go through that process. And so I took probably a dozen, maybe 14 private lessons in the months, actually starting like 6 months out leading up. And but it was for me. So when I saw that question, how to maximize a private lesson, I was thinking to myself, well, I was doing mine, but I already had it. It was a sheet like this, front and back, 88 separate moves that I needed to know the techniques, not be proficient in them, but know what the point of them, the techniques are, and how to actually carry them through and perform them. And so I actually had a game plan in front of me of what I needed to know and by what time. So we broke it out into separate. These are the moves from side control. These are the moves from guard. These are the sweeps. These are the back escapes. These are, and we went through that entire progression. And then a couple, like maybe a month or 2 months right before the testing, it was just a speed, like a repetition, just going through the entire test, So, and Kelly, my wife, did the same thing. So, and I was her uke when she was testing. So I was like, she was doing them on me. So I got to go back through that white to blue test again, which really solidified a lot of things. There were so many things, so many fundamentals and so many basics that I just not forgot, but like I wasn't using them on a daily basis when I absolutely should be for very simple techniques to help you out in things, because those basic fundamentals, when you get really good at them, it makes that person a really hard person to roll. So
absolutely, and that was the perfect game plan. I mean, that if two things I think is probably the best. I think the best is Delvin's situation when Steve actually had something in mind for him that he really wanted him to get better at. I think I think your professor knows you better than anyone by watching you roll and rolling with you.
Isn't that crazy?
Yeah. No,
it really is. So where like you have an idea of like, I need to go this way, and it's like, I've seen you and I know you better than, and that plus experience, I know you better than you know yourself on the mat. And
that's his job, evaluating us, right? I mean, so that's a really fortunate situation. Number 2 is the situation that Derek mentioned. Whenever he's got a list that he's going through, and I would assume, Derek, that you were going over that stuff on your own, and then like writing down any questions or whatever, because our purple belt test is very similar to what you were just illustrating.
So we're fortunate in the fact that Pedro puts all 88 moves, it's him performing the moves, like a video of it on the website, so we can go through and match the moves up with. But the Brazilian to English transition or translation, I mean, 3 or 4 moves are called the same thing.
Sure.
They literally have the same name for it. So I'm like, oh, well, which one is this? So I got to the point where I was like, you know what? I'm not going to go through and watch the videos. I'm not getting muscle memory. I'm not getting repetition. I'm watching someone else do it. And so I asked one of the higher ranking brown belts. He's an instructor. And so he gave me a bunch of classes and helped out extremely well. And he teaches majority of the classes. And like I said, they'd gone through a lot of these in class, a lot of these moves, but there were some that just I'd only been around for a year and a half. So some things you don't get to see the instruction on it. So
yeah. And did you by any chance record any of your trainings?
I did not
record
your
privates.
I did not record any of my privates. No,
that's another top tip.
Yeah, so
phrasing.
I'm terrible at that, at the recording, but I'm also terrible at taking notes.
Please don't record your privates. don't do that. Just don't do that, please.
I'll keep those to myself. Private lessons, folks. Sorry about that.
Welcome to BJJ OnlyFans.
Everybody's got those texts every now and then. But
this is the BJJ podcast, right?
I've got another podcast.
There's an extra J on this one, buddy.
I got another podcast. So that I would add to, if you're taking a private lesson from, if you're lucky enough to take a private lesson from someone who's really known for something, like Charlie and I went to Lucas Lecce seminar, and a lot of the things in seminars are the same things that I would say to do in private lessons, which is go over your notes and do that sort of thing. But
is that half guard thing?
Yeah, if you're lucky enough to take a private lesson from somebody who's the best in the world at half guard, then don't ask him to go over side control escapes. right?
That's like going to a seafood restaurant. It's like, can I get the hamburger, please?
Yeah. No, exactly. Get whatever knowledge that they have, and whatever little that you can absorb, take that in. So, a couple things for me is, Phil and I recorded ours. It's just internet connection's unstable. I think we're fine. I can still see Brian. And also to make sure that you have a game plan if they don't have a game plan for you. You know, I think those are really the best tips that I have to offer. Phil?
That was all the stuff I was going to say.
So this was my question, and I think that maybe this is a question for everybody, because everybody kind of said the same underlying thing. How do you figure out what that game plan is? You just pick it?
What keeps happening to me?
Okay. Okay.
His open guard's trash. That's what keeps happening to him.
Yeah.
That's what the subject
we did
of his private
one,
lesson
we did
would
one
be.
yesterday because he has notes from Steve on what he needed to work on after his purple belt test. So I was like, why don't you just do a private with John on that stuff and fix some of it?
And you thought I was going to argue with you.
I did. Usually you don't
I was like, that
those
was
ideas.
brilliant. It was a brilliant thought.
No,
I was happy for it.
So we went over some of that
Immediately
stuff.
scheduled one with John.
And
Take note, everybody. Jeff just complimented Phil. It's the only time it's ever going to
he
happen.
doesn't do it when they're listening.
They're not listening anymore. They
No,
tuned out.
Everyone who listens to the
30 minutes
podcast
ago.
is literally in this room right now.
That's right. Well,
We're down, way down.
The internet connection went out. Didn't record that.
That's great.
But yeah, but I think also you can go back and look at it again. And I think specifically with that was cool because I went back and rewatched a few minutes of it afterwards, and like your first ones suck. Like you're doing the shrimp escape and you're not bridging at all, and you just shoot out, which I think works for you. Like when you're rolling, I'm sure that works and you get out of their mount, you know. But like that's not it. It's not the move. So you like got better at it through doing it. But I think if you can see yourself go through that third person view of the struggle will help remind of the issues with it, you know, and like
Totally agree. Right whenever I did, because I told him, you know, the first three things that we were going, they were really the things that I was having the most trouble with, like that I knew was trash, and whenever he said you've got to bridge to shrimp, you know, I'm like, yeah, I know that, but I wasn't doing it, you know, and so just having that outside perspective is super helpful, especially somebody as good as John.
And I've been thinking a lot about like recently how often the moves come back that I'll like pick up different shit because now I'm struggling with a new part of the move or something else along the lines that I'm like, oh, I've never noticed him say that before. So I tried to go back and start watching a lot of the old instructions that I've watched in the past to like re-pick up, which I think would be good on the private stuff too, because you're probably still doing some of that stuff wrong or in other places where you like hear direct feedback to you. I think would be a good
For sure. No, I totally agree. The other thing I did want to mention is like with anything else, whatever your note taking is, whether you're just a pen and pad person or whatever, that act of actually recording what your notes are is more beneficial than your notes will ever be, because the notes, whenever you go back and read them, and like I'll go back and read mine and update them, they're just hilarious. I mean, they're just, you know, it's like, that's
I
terrible.
so often don't understand what I did.
Yeah,
Like, what
I know.
I don't even know what it means.
I totally agree.
Yeah.
But the act of writing them kind of solidifies, oh, okay, I got to actually do these steps and
I started doing that in the very beginning when I first started training, because I just knew that I had to like solidify what was in my mind, or else it was just going to turn into soup.
oh, it just evaporates.
Yeah.
I can't make it stick. I have not been able to make that habit stick of taking down the notes and recording them. And I hear so many people, like students, my level, students a little bit above, like grandmasters, they're like, yeah, record your notes, record, and I have not been able to
Do you do it with anything
yet.
specific or just like whatever happened in class?
Yeah, I would, like, when I have done it, which has been a very long time ago, it was just trying to write down the technique of what was going on during class, what went on during beginning class, what went on during advanced class. And then I do it for like maybe 3 or 4 times, and then I just cut it short and just wouldn't do it at all.
Yeah.
And I really need to get back into it.
Do you like technology? I mean, are you a technology?
I have it.
You have
I
it?
have BJJ notes, and it sits
It's good. I like it.
Yeah, it's sitting
Yeah, but
right
do you take
here,
notes?
like as an unused app
Fine.
on my phone. I got to get back to it.
When we did
See?
all the seminars, all the everything we do, I take notes.
You do?
Contemplate deleting it
I never
every
take
time you
notes
look at it,
anymore.
you're like, I don't know. I'm not even
Do you
using
not?
it.
Well,
No,
even
all of
this
them.
is that.
I mean, there's a Lucas Lecce half guard.
The only thing I take notes on now is like
One day we get to it.
if I'm
Yeah,
like trying to
soon.
focus on
Absolutely.
specific
Day to
shit
day.
and like I have problems with it, like I'll maybe make a note of that and like what to go back at and look at again.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. I just feel like I'm like one of 3 people who ask the question like every class. I have a question, and I feel like that kind of eliminated my note taking because like before I would like write down like, oh, what do I do with this?
I
And
think
now
it takes a lot. I think it takes a lot from that. I think that note taking, man, I don't know. I'd like to ask somebody who's been doing jiu-jitsu. I'd like to ask John, like, do you still take notes? You know what I mean? Because I think as you go along, you're going to take less and less notes, and maybe you update your notes. But I think that every seminar, to maximize a seminar, like we have a group that will, like me and Roland and a couple other people, will text each other our notes from that seminar.
Mm-hmm.
And so that they can look over it and they can say, all right, we missed this. So that then, you know, the next day we go back into an open mat and we just do that stuff from the seminar just to solidify it in your head, you know? Or obviously you can try to incorporate it in your game if it's something that you feel is appropriate at the time.
Yeah. I mean, I just haven't really taken notes in a long time. I start to do it and then I don't know. I don't even know if I see a benefit when I do it.
Oh, you're the same as me then.
I don't.
Oh, okay. I feel
I'm just asking.
I feel a little bit better. I feel
He used to take
Yeah.
notes.
I've done it on and off since. And then like, that's what I'm thinking about is like, if I'm like, when I try to work on like butterfly guard or something, like I've been recently working on a lot of seated guard.
Yeah.
Not getting my guard passed immediately, right?
Yeah.
So like that would probably make sense to go back and take notes on. And then what we do in class, I drill, I pay attention or whatever, but like I'm not focusing my note and like outside energy on that too. Like I'm more focused on this other thing, but I still don't do it. I
think overall, like just speaking life in general, I've been reading a lot of Stoic stuff. And Stoic stuff always talks about journaling like your life and doing just an honest accounting of that and knowing how you feel. And then, I mean, we do jujitsu a lot. You know, it's not just like an hour a week and then we're done. Like this is like a, 10, 15 hour more commitment every week that we're doing. And so since it's a part of your life, it might be worth chronicling. Like it's something I've got to consider, like strongly sit down and consider and at least, I don't know, like maybe after class, just even record something verbally.
Oh, I like that idea.
And
Well,
listen to it.
that's-
Maybe that'll do it.
This is the thing about using technology is like, I mean, you have an iPhone, so just dictate it. I mean, even if you have an Android, you can dictate into it.
Yep.
You don't have to type it, just
Yep.
dictate it. And that's like I've been into Stoicism since I was like 16 years old. And so journaling and being in constant study of things is like every day. Like it's just a habit.
Yeah, as you two were talking about the note taking, so I'm a financial advisor, and after I leave client meetings, I open my phone up and I just start talking.
Yeah.
And it just dictates down into words, and then I just copy and paste that, and
Talking about jiu-jitsu after you leave a client?
Well, no.
We did half work last night. This meeting was boring as fuck.
Thank God this boring meeting is over. Now I'm back to my half guard. Yeah.
But no, I mean that was because I would get back to the office or get back to a stopping point and like forget half of what's in the meeting.
Oh, the details,
But
yeah.
Immediately after a phone call, immediately after an in-person meeting, I would just start rambling. And it would record everything. So I'm thinking as you're saying this, like, what if I just I have an hour-long car ride after jiu-jitsu to get back to my house. So like that was a perfect time for me to just chronicle what happened in the in that class or in the role.
Absolutely.
That's
Yeah,
right.
I think that would be a fantastic idea. I like that.
Yeah. That's what I try to do every day. Like when I wake up, if I wake up early, I sit down in just quiet, no phone, no nothing, just journal. Or like at the end of the day, you're just sitting there, you're quiet. Especially
I'd end up drawing.
there's only like
triangles,
there's only 2 people in this
squares.
room that have any kids. So
I will write down, like, if something is, I've never seen it before and I want to, like, look into it or, like, make a note, like, I will write those things down because I don't want to forget it. But there has been a shitload of times where I come in and they're like, what do we do Tuesday? And I'm like, no fucking clue. That was a long time ago.
That's the worst.
I no
You guys
idea.
remember what we did on Tuesday? You're like,
It was advanced class Tuesday, and we did Kimura.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I was in
Maybe.
the morning. I did side control escapes.
Thursdays was
Side control escapes again. Yeah.
I can't even tell you what I wore yesterday. Are you kidding me?
does your school have like a monthly theme?
Man, I that would be something that would be cool because I've seen like Revolution BJJ whenever I trained up there in Richmond. Andrew and the folks up there, John Bagels, Telford was up there. He's not anymore. He's in Raleigh, but they always had the theme, the month. Here's what we're doing. You know,
We're doing guard sweeps.
Yeah.
But like the perfect thing about it was my very first month in jiu-jitsu, very first everything was breaking the guard. It was an entire
nice.
30 days
Perfect.
on how to break guard and base and how to break guard, like how to maintain your base and how to break their guard. Like that was 30 days of that. Like it just sheer happenstance or whatever. Like there's no way I could have planned that out, but like to have that be your
that's an
first
awesome
30 days.
foundation.
Yeah, right.
And that's so funny because the one time I went up to train with Pedro Sauer at his main academy in Reston, Virginia. That's one of the lessons that he was doing. It was really good too.
Yeah.
It was really good. That was so good. Brian, anything that you do note taking wise? Anything that special? Anything we're not finding here?
Not really. I mean, I'm one of those guys that takes a lot of notes. The downside to it is I don't think I ever go back and look at them. So the piece for me is writing it down, and hopefully there's some retention that occurs by writing it down. But what I struggle with, I think, is a system to go back and review. I am good about the
Not
notes.
that important, I don't think, man. I mean, I really don't think the review is that important.
I
think the act of writing
never
it-
I never review my notes. I'm the same as you, Brian. I never review my notes. I just write them, and that's what helps.
I think it's
The
most
repetition,
beneficial.
maybe.
Yeah.
Just putting
So then I question whether or not there's a benefit, but I keep doing it.
Well, of course, there's a benefit. The benefit is whenever you're writing it down, you're gaining an understanding of physically describing that move, right? You've just had that move described to you, and I know my descriptions are always spot on whenever we do moves. But that act,
I would make fun of you by mimicking it, but I couldn't even do a bad enough job to mimic it. It would make more sense me trying to make fun of you, so it wouldn't come out right.
I know. Well, that's my curse to bear. Anyway, let's move on. I think this is a good one to go through because, all of us here are blue belts at kind of different phases, Brian and Patrick being the newest of the blue belts. And
A lot of wisdom.
And,
A lot of wisdom.
Yeah. A lot of really bad advice coming out.
There's
of our
like
mouths.
at least 15 years experience in
Right.
jiu-jitsu
Exactly
collectively
right. That's exactly right.
on this
Cumulatively.
podcast. Yeah.
So things, tips, tricks, because a lot of people out there are wondering how do you avoid the blue belt curse, right?
Don't care that you got your blue belt.
Yeah, that's a big way to do
Just don't care.
it. Yeah.
Just keep showing up.
Yep.
Don't worry about the belt. John says that all the time, and I totally 100% agree with him.
Mm-hmm.
I don't care. I don't care that they could have given me a 5th stripe.
Yeah. They say that's for the special people.
Delvin's about to earn his 5th stripe on his blue belt.
Yes, I sure am. I think I already did. I took it off. Steve gave it to me. I took it off so no one saw it.
Unwrapped it.
Phil?
I don't know. You just can't get bored and find ways not to get bored and just keep trying to get better. I don't know. Which way do you mean? Like, Because I think that did more
it's
than
not a
quitting,
mystery
or like-
that most people quit at white belt. That's true. But after a white belt, the majority of people who are going to quit at blue belt.
Yeah, and then after that, probably purple belt.
Yeah, I was going to say,
but it's a big drop off. So like the numbers I think that I saw were 70% of white belts quit, 50% or more. It was 50% or more of blue belts, and then only like 12% of purple belts and 8% of brown belts quit. So it was like exponentially different.
I'm not sure that this is maybe it is. But sheer determination is the only thing to get you a blue belt to purple belt. Like, I truly believe almost anybody can get a blue belt.
Agreed.
But a purple belt, that's years and years of just getting at it. And to your point, it's not mail it in 1 hour a week, whatever. It's 10 to 15 hours a week. Like, it is. I've actually cut hours back at work so I could do more jiu-jitsu. I'm like, how can I find more time to get into the gym and get in there and roll? So I don't know. I don't want to sound like a pessimistic on this one. I just think either you are or you're not. I mean, maybe you can give some people tips or tricks to, stay motivated, things like that. But I don't know that I've missed longer than like 2 or 3 days of instruction or of rolling in the past 3 years. Even if I go out of town, I will go out of my way to find a gym somewhere else to just try to get some time in. I don't feel myself if I have to go 3 or 4 days without going in and going to jiu-jitsu. I feel weird.
That's
Absolutely.
true. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I got definitely some stuff to add to it, but I remember the one thing. Well, Steve told me a lot of things, but one of the things I'm remembering right now is just to have fun. And then if I added on to it, it's like, why would you ever take anything seriously as a blue belt? Right? Like, if you stick with jiu-jitsu and then one day, you keep putting in the work, and then one day you're a black belt, you're going to look back at your blue belt days and it's like, yeah, I was a whole fucking clown as a blue belt. And so why was everything so serious? And I had to make sure that just show up and train and things will happen. But you have to find ways to make it fun and laugh at yourself when you do something stupid, because you're going to do many, many stupid things.
On that note, how surprised were you when you found out that all the blue belts were sandbagging you as soon as you got your blue belt? You're like, oh, wait a minute, you're way better than you were rolling me before. Like, what were you doing? I thought I was like getting close, and then as soon as you get your blue belt, they're like, oh, here's a foot lock.
Like, nah, son, that's not how it works.
The very when I got my blue belt, it was just doing an ordinary class. It wasn't during a ceremony. And one of my first rolls, and I hope I see him again, was with Frank. Dog it.
Oh, yeah, sure.
Yeah, like, I mean,
Purple belt.
Yeah, purple belt, 4 stripes, been training forever, and he just dog walked me. Just like the whole time was like, he was like 18 moves ahead of me, and the whole purpose of it was like, yeah, congratulations on your blue belt. You got a long way to go. And it's like, yeah, I do. And I still do. I mean, and that was almost 3 years ago. Yeah, still an infinite way to go before I can ever turn to anyone and say, yeah, I think I got this jiu-jitsu thing down pat, taken care of.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, like, you just got to have fun with it and laugh at yourself and have fun with your teammates. And it does become, when I first started with Fight to Win, I was going 2 times a week. I was going Monday, I was going Wednesday. And now it's like at 5 times a week, and it's like, okay, yep. And now if I don't go 5 times a week, it's like, this is kind of weird. I didn't get to class enough this week. And yeah, it just but it becomes a commitment because you want it to become a commitment. Like, you start seeing that, hey, I'm halfway decent at this, and I want to be halfway decenter at this, you know? And it just builds on itself. Like, I couldn't imagine just going 2 days a week now. It'd be crazy.
No, I couldn't.
And to piggyback off that, like the whole have fun thing and then it becoming a sort of escalating habit is taking it back to the whole stoicism thing of, you will be the person that you are, that you continue to train to be. And that is as a person and in jiu-jitsu. But I remember, I think I was like a year in, and I started feeling like too much stress. Like going into jujitsu was just like a slog because I'm like, I need to get better. I need to be better. I need to, you know, like get these techniques. But it was like so much pressure I was putting on myself. And one day I was just like, should I even go? It's like so much stress. I don't even want to go. And it was at that moment that I realized, I'm like, well, why did I start? I think that's an important question because like it led me to that, just go have fun. Because I started to lose weight. I started doing jujitsu to lose weight and have fun. You know, like go and do something that was enjoyable to lose weight. And so I just refocused myself on that. And that's what keeps me going in every single day that I go in is like, I'm just going in to sweat and have a good time and see all the people that I enjoy seeing. And like through jujitsu, I've actually made a ton of friends and it's become fun because I train for fun.
Yeah, for sure. And you know, we're going to get to that, the social part of jiu-jitsu, but just one more thing on the blue belt blues. I think the more you worry or the more you set your goals as a certain belt, I don't think that's a healthy way to goal set. I think your goal setting should be, hey, I want to, you know, my close guard is crap. I need to really improve my close guard, you know, to get to another level. And you see it all the time. Having fun and making sure that your goal setting is, you know, attainable in the short term, you know, and you know, my goal in jiu-jitsu is just to keep doing it. You know, I mean, that's my long-term goal. Because, you know, 10 years from now, whenever we all look back at this and hopefully all of us are still doing jiu-jitsu, we're going to have spent more time at the belt that we're at then than any of the belts that we have previously. So it doesn't really matter.
I would even, I mean, you just said a few things that I really agree with, and it's really around the goal setting piece of it, right? Like when we started talking about the blue belt curse thing, like the first thing that came up for me was really a question, like, what is this thing? Because I heard it early on as a white belt, and I know that when I came in, like I set my first goal was like get a blue belt. Like it wasn't, I didn't know well enough to say like just get better at jiu-jitsu, right? So it was through some conversations, and I think it was Patrick said, like, you know, he's feeling pressure, like to make this thing fun and surrounding yourself with people that enjoy the training, you know, to remove that pressure and to learn from everybody. Like I've kind of settled into the idea that no matter what belt color I am, like I'm in the activity business. Like I show up, I'm not in the results business. Like if I have the activity, if I set a certain number of training days, if I put in the hours, like the results are going to come. And sometimes I don't see them day to day, but I get reminded of them. And in this thing, as much time as we spend, I think Delvin said it, like if you're going to spend 10, 15, sometimes 20 hours a week doing something, you sure as shit better enjoy it. So what's the pressure? Like, this is what a gift to all of us. We get to do this. So I just try to stay in the activity business as it relates to this.
No, that's a really good point, Brian.
I like that.
Yeah, you got to enjoy the process. Because like I've never been as frustrated as when I first got my blue belt and I couldn't do shit. So like, what did it matter? You know, and I wanted the blue belt bad.
Did you?
Yeah. Yeah, I did.
I didn't realize that.
I didn't either.
You did. We talked about it because I was pissed that I didn't get it.
Oh,
And then I got it later. And then I was like, yeah, who cares? And nothing changed. Like, it's like the guy that was a white belt that I couldn't do anything to
Still
a
can't
week
do
ago.
anything to.
I can't do shit.
But I mean, some things do change. Like they're subtle. Like you go to class and you do those beginning reps, and whoever's teaching class, they expect you to do it a little bit better now. It's like, yeah, that was good that you knew at this level at a white belt, but you're not a white belt anymore, so you got to step it up. Or when everyone's like, yep, all right, start splitting and someone white belt, get a color belt, go with it, and then, you know, that new white belt's wandering in and they're staring at you and it's like, oh, I have to teach you stuff now? Or show stuff properly in a demonstration way to help you out? So things, I mean, the volume gets turned up a little bit, you know, I mean, so things do change a little bit, but as far as just rolling, you're absolutely right.
Well, that's always been it's why I do it. It's like my measuring stick for everything is like, that's the fun part for me. And competing is like my measuring stick. So like, yeah, I have 4 stripes on the blue belt and I went out and I just lost competition again recently. So it's like, it doesn't matter. Like I can go up a division or I can stay here another 2 years and I'd probably still lose to people and learn stuff. The goal with like, that's another thing I thought about is like when you're competing and like I lost pans and that sucked. But then it's like, I watch a lot of competition stuff, or not a lot, but every now and then. And like I'll watch Gordon Ryan or Marcelo Garcia. And it's like, then I think about like, I don't even care what their blue belt matches look like because it's irrelevant, you know? It's like, so who even cares?
I want to go back now and look at Gordon Ryan's blue belt matches now. God, I'm intrigued.
But like that couldn't matter less.
Guess you could say
those
intrigued.
Are the, like best people in the world, and like that's what I'm so worried about. But it's like all that matters is just trying to get better because you're so far from where
You're going to be
trying to go.
Yeah.
Like everything I do right now, everything I do sucks. Like compared to what it could be.
It's true. I can verify, folks. Yeah, that's good. I think that's solid. I think that's solid advice. I think that, you know, just not worrying about the belts is the main thing. This next topic is one, Derek, you wrote it down. Social jiu-jitsu. What did you mean on the topic?
Mark, my sensei Mark, says this all the time. Like that's just how you conduct yourself out in public. I mean, you could name 1,000 different instances where jiu-jitsu's helped you navigate some what you prior to jiu-jitsu you would call a stressful situation, but it's now not a stressful situation. Because
totally.
You know, like maybe somebody yelling, or you're in an environment where you don't feel like you feel like somebody might be unhinged, or even the simplest thing would be like, what do you do now when somebody cuts you off, like in the car and just like egregiously almost causes an accident. I know before jiu-jitsu, like I was mad, like I'm gonna catch up with this person mad, and now I'm like checking the blind spots, looking around, are the girls okay, everybody's safe, good thing we're done with that, like all right, like let them go type thing, you know.
Even more on that, I was the same way. Right when I started jiu-jitsu, like that all that stuff stopped. Like all that
immediately.
It immediately stopped. And like, you know, whenever there was like a traffic jam or something, it's like, this is no big deal. Yeah. You know, I've been stuck inside control under Ryan Leggett for 5 minutes. You know, I mean, this I'll just relax here. This is not stressful at all. But I think you're right. I think it goes to that, and also the fact that how you've changed as a person since you started jiu-jitsu, right? It's the same thing. Everybody gets maybe a little more patient. Maybe, you know, it's no mistake. Before jiu-jitsu, I was, you know, I've been in sales for 15 years and had always done okay at it and was very direct, right? And that works with a lot of people, but it also doesn't work with a lot of people.
Yeah.
And so to have that other arrow in your quiver of an indirect approach, it made me, I mean, it supercharged my career, quite honestly.
Yeah.
So as well as helping my personal life, helping me understand that not being satisfied and just staying somewhere like inside control from Ryan Leggett, it's not an acceptable option. And that's in everything, right?
Yeah.
In your own personal life. I got out of a relationship that I was in for 8 years that was going nowhere. And, you know, just for me, all around, it gave me a different perspective on life.
Absolutely. Yeah. I mean, it's crazy what you're saying about like road rage. Like one of the things that takes like what I do to the next level is just having an insane level of patience and a calm demeanor through every last step of everything. Because like I'm like basically like the tech lead, like a tech advisor, tech whatever for a big company. And so I have to like talk to stakeholders, and I have to talk to developers, and I have to guide product and guide development flow, and there's just a ton of stuff. And
it's hard being a go-between.
Yeah, and I'm in every single meeting, and everybody that I work with knows that I'm in every single meeting. They know that like I love doing development work, I love writing code, but I don't get to do it because I'm doing everything else. And one of the best guys on my team right now, he's like, we were finishing up a call after another call, and it was just he and I, and he goes, man, I don't know how you do this. He's like, we were just talking about something. He's like, yeah, I don't know how you do this, man. You're just like so zen. Like he goes, I would just like flip out when, you know, so-and-so, like when somebody on the call kind of like got on us about something. And I was just like, I just like took it in, let them talk, let them do their thing. And then at the end, I'm like, okay, well, you know, we got that handled. This is what we're doing. This is what we've been doing for a week. Here's the tickets, you know, here's, you know, took them through the numbers on it. And at the end of it, they were like, oh, sorry about that. And it's like, if I'd flipped out, if I'd gone off, you know, gotten unhinged about it, it would have gone south hard, and it would have looked bad on me. You know, it's like I would have been the asshole.
Sure.
But at the end of the day, like jujitsu turned me into that person, because I used to be that asshole that'd be like, listen here.
Yeah.
You know, listen here, you little shit.
Try to use force in situations that weren't going your way.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that's the same thing. It's like you muscle your way. You muscle in your jujitsu, you're doing it wrong. Anyway.
You start realizing there are options.
Uh-huh.
Like, I mean, what's the phrase? Something like, if, you know, you're just a hammer, you know, see every problem as a nail, right? And then you start getting other tools in your toolbox, and you start pulling them out every once in a while, and it helps. And I mean, I just do data analyst work. It's nothing even, you know, super stressful or anything, but it's always funny when you hear someone's like, oh, you know, we have a matter requiring immediate attention or whatever. It's like, like if you have a matter requiring immediate attention and you're given like 3 months to resolve it, is it really that immediate? Like, no, like what is immediate if someone's sinking a rear naked choke in and they have both their hooks in and you've been trying to squirm out and you can't? That's immediate attention. That's a matter that requires immediate attention.
You cannot ignore that.
Right, you can't ignore that. You can't wait 2 months to resolve that.
This 3 month thing.
Yeah, you got to solve that now. But with that mindset though, you just have those options, and when you start realizing that you have those options rather than just anger or immediate, like, you know, like blunt force to everything, then things turn different for you. And jiu-jitsu absolutely does help with that. Like, I don't even recall the last time I just outright lost my temper with someone. Like even today, just had something today where I just moved into a new place, plugged in the washer dryer or the washer, started it, and then came back to a room full of water because I didn't put the hose into the freaking drain, like an idiot. And I'm like, okay,
Or be like stupid,
right?
stupid.
And the entire time, instead of like, the first thing I figured out was start thinking about was how do I fix this? All right, got to go open up the towels and start throwing towels at it and everything. And then the whole time where there's like one part in me that's like, you know, like, God, you fucked up and it's still like no.
It's done.
Yeah,
it's spilled milk.
Yeah,
right?
it's
Right.
done.
Oh, yeah, totally.
It's not helping anything to do it. And like, it's like, forgive yourself, keep moving on. And that directly applies to the mat. It's like, yep, made a mistake. All right, if you spend time dwelling on that mistake, you're about to commit 3 more.
I'll go one step further on that, Delvin, and I'll say I'll laugh at myself over something like that. I'm like, you're just a big dumb idiot.
Yeah.
You know, and you always will be. So
Yeah,
fucking have a ball with this.
Yeah.
Because you're gonna keep doing stupid
Good job.
shit. You know, it does help. It does help. I mean, it's counterproductive to dwell on stuff like that.
This is the beginning of Steve's last seminar that we did at Denver. You know, like you're in bottom side control, you're flat on your back, and where do you go? Like you got to take those little inches. You got to find those small movements that get you into a better position. And I think that that's so ingrained into all of us at this point, where it's like when we come up with little things like, because that happens to me all the time too. And this is maybe another thing for you, Derek, because like you're the only one in here with like kids, and I don't know how old your kids are, but it's like made me a more patient dad. Oh, yeah. You know, like my kids do whatever they like, color on whatever, or they'll spill something, and I'm just like, and they'll start crying or freaking out. My kids are small, and I'll just be like, it's fine, don't worry about it, we'll get some paper towels. It's like not a big deal.
Yeah, it's not
I'll get the magic eraser, and we'll get this crayon off of this. It's like whatever, it doesn't matter.
How old are your kids?
4 and 3.
When they get like the 5, 6 year, 7 year old, and they're in jujitsu, like it's no longer child abuse as long as they're on the mat.
Yes,
amazing.
ladies and gentlemen.
Oh,
Derek just incriminating himself for abusing his children. No, just kidding.
Recording in progress.
I saw, or I was thinking about that, how jujitsu changed, you know, that whole, how's it changed my life, and I was actually like really just thinking about this, like how I use jiu-jitsu off the mat, and the first thing I thought of was like conversations, like how jiu-jitsu is a Q&A session. It's a conversation with somebody else using technique, using whatever. And I really started looking back, and like ever since I started jiu-jitsu, like my conversations with people have gotten better. My clients, I find out more about people than they find out about me, because I'm no longer like first and foremost in saying everything about myself. I'm more waiting to hear more about them. What about this or what about that? And not in like a prodding, but just like an inquisitive type of, how does that
More
work?
curious.
Yeah, very, very curious about what it is. And that in sense, ends up just being a way better conversationalist to ask them more questions than you're saying things about yourself. And that's what jiu-jitsu is. Like if you run in there head first, like all wrestlers do when they first come in, guess what?
Sure.
Guillotine, right?
Yep.
And it's one of those things, like you can't just be you're boisterous about this. Like, yeah, it's a Q&A.
Yeah.
Did you break?
So, Brian, I think I'm particularly interested in your response, because for everyone at home, Brian runs an events company. And last year with COVID, there were no more events to be catered or parties to be thrown or anything like that. How did that how do you think that changed what your approach would have been before jiu-jitsu as opposed to after?
Yeah, it's this is one I was particularly interested when I saw it on kind of the discussion points for today. I mean, I listened to what everybody else had to say, and I really agree. Like the big thing for me with jiu-jitsu, it's turned the volume down on so many things, and it applies, equally in my life. It might be somebody cuts me off in traffic, as you guys said, or it might be somebody like I was on a plane day before yesterday, and when you talk about unhinged people, like the guy behind me lost his shit because somebody bumped into him, and it just turns the volume down. I wasn't like, that would have been a really stressful situation for me, but there's been so many positive changes in my life since this started. I mean, you can go to the obvious things like weight and health and stress and attitude, I think, but I think a better way for me of describing it is really looking at the things in my life that surprised me. The team aspect of jiu-jitsu was not something that I really expected. Like you think about it as a one-to-one combat sport, but when you go in there, like the willingness of team members to help each other, on and off the mat. And if you choose the right team, like that's a real thing. You get every question answered about a technique or about and listen, in my first year and second year and probably third, fourth, fifth, sixth, and seventh year and beyond, I'm going to ask some dumb questions, but I know that somebody on the team is going to put their hand up to help out and answer those things. And it's been pretty amazing. Like, the volume has just gotten turned down, and there's some of it, like, another surprising piece is just the number of friendships that are real friendships, across totally different sets of people. Like it's mutual admiration, it's mutual advancement, as we progress in our journey, and some of it's mutual suffering. Like it's fun to be able to look back at guys at certain levels of their white belt and go, yep, no, I know exactly what that one felt like. And so the last year of my life, like I've heard a lot of people talk about how tough it's been or how hard it's been, and I don't doubt that it has been for a lot of people, but this has been the one consistent thing. Like my business has been effectively gone for a year, and it's coming back now, which is great. But I've been able to work on the things that I've been able to work on. I've been able to spend time with my family, and I've been able to train. And without those things, I don't know, mentally, like it would have been a different thing for me without jiu-jitsu.
Yeah, agreed. Anybody else?
I was going to say, like, the ability to, like, reflect on a situation instead of focusing so much on why I did what I did when it didn't go well, just on, what actually happened and what could go better in the future. Because I would and I still do it, but I try to recognize when I'm doing it. Of like, it doesn't really matter why I did it. It wasn't the best, and probably could have handled it better.
Yeah, and recognizing different perspectives, and the default being, there's probably just a lack of communication, or I'm not understanding something, rather than this person's just doing this to piss me off,
Right.
type of thing,
Yeah.
So
Yeah, I really liked what Brian said when he said turns the volume down on everything.
Yeah.
I really felt that 100%. I think that has a lot to do with, I think everybody's journey starts off with the first 6 months, you just learn how to breathe while somebody's crushing you.
Literally.
Really, like you're literally learning to not hold your
important
breath and to take even breaths and not gas out in, the first 30 seconds when you have, Joe Cumbo squashing your rib cage,
Yep.
and I just think that gives you such a different view on everyday circumstances, like what Brian was saying, being on an airplane and having a guy flip out behind you. It's like, what's the worst that could happen, man? If somebody bumps into you, like, what's really the worst that can happen? Nobody's crushing you. Nobody's trying to choke you. Nobody's trying to hurt you. You just chill.
And then the other side of it, like, just such a insignificant thing just ruined that whole person's day.
Oh yeah, yeah.
But two people say, yeah.
And by the way, they did it to themselves.
Right, exactly.
Uh-huh.
And they let such an insignificant thing do that. It's insane. You shouldn't even have that in your head, but unfortunately that person did.
There's like bigger fish to fry than like worrying about some dude cutting you off in traffic. Like there's much better things to worry about.
Could you imagine though, like, you're on a mat and somebody's about to sink into like some devastating side control and then whispers into your ear like you're an asshole. And then you're like, man, I'm really mad right now that you called me an asshole.
But I can't do anything about it.
Yeah, is that the important thing? That's not the important thing. The important thing is he's about to crush your face with his shoulder. But you're worried about the words?
Yeah.
I mean, anything.
Nope. You're right. Well, folks, listen, I value and appreciate every one of you as a friend and training partner, and that's why Phil and I wanted you guys on here and wanted to be part of a special episode. And we hope that for everybody that this episode 100 lived up to its billing. I mean, we've only been talking about it for 2 years, and so hopefully it met everyone's expectations. And Phil, tell the folks out there, if they choose to do so, how they can support us.
Share the podcast with somebody.
Share it and subscribe to it. Right? We need more subscriptions. Let's bump up those subscription numbers.
Where are we at?
5-star ratings.
I have no idea. Oh yeah, good. Thank you, Delvin. Delvin also runs a podcast. Shout out to Delvin's podcast. What is it, Delvin? Tell them out there.
Long Box Crusade.
And what is that about?
Comic books.
Yes.
Oh yeah.
And he also did, which I found intriguing.
Patrick has a podcast.
You do?
Yeah, he does.
Exactly. Yeah. You do?
Oh, is that the name of your podcast?
No.
What is it?
It's called Almost Famous. The F in famous is PHP, and it's a developer podcast.
Oh, cool.
But my co-host, he recently had a child. Well, he didn't. His wife did.
Yeah.
But
Makes
he
sense.
is just as sleepless.
Yeah.
I know, right? So we have been very inconsistent over the last 6 months. We've done probably 2 episodes.
Okay.
Can't relate. We're very disciplined with our releases.
We were so super regular. The other one that Delvin did was a Bond. I still hadn't listened to that.
Yeah.
That was I can't
On
remember.
Majesty's Secret Podcast is the name of the that one, and then we did a show on there called Rookie Agents. MI6 Rookie Agents, where we went through all the Bond movies.
That's cool. That's super cool. Derek, how about you? What kind of podcast do you have? I guess everybody has a podcast, right?
I do not have a podcast.
You don't have a podcast? We'll get you one started. We'll get you one started.
Yeah, there's
I'm
no
still trying to get
requirements.
back on Facebook and TikTok. We'll see.
So, folks, with that said, if you're not out there trying to do something to make yourself better each and every day, get out there and do it. Phil, Derek, Patrick, Brian, Delvin, Phil, again, and myself, we all choose Jiu-Jitsu. We hope you do too.
I'm about to feed them to the sharks right now. Get them hype right now. Yeah. You know the ground is up.
Ocean.
Yeah. Everybody that trains, you know the game. Yeah. So let's get it. Slap it up, bump it, and roll. Yeah, that's the way that it goes. Ain't no better way to better yourself in this game. You're feeling the growth. That's time on the mat. We put in the work. Believe it ain't easy, I know. But we train for the love of the game, the love of the art. Now slap it up, bump it, let's roll.